Hello?
Yes, I'm clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm clear, right? Yeah. I will just share my
Yes.
screen. Yeah. So are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Yes, we're just waiting.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for it to. Yeah, you can see it
Yeah.
now.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Sure. Just a little about me actually. I have around 10 years of IT experience in developing web applications. So I previously worked with company like Tesco, VMware, and CAM systems, and also I'm a occasional blogger. I have a Angular framework blog called Angular Wiki. It has been visited by 3 lakh people around the world. So coming to our topic actually, because improving image loading performance in Angular applications. So there is a new directive introduced in Angular version 4.2, which is called NgOptimizedImage. With that, with using that directive, we can improve the image loading performances in Angular applications. So when coming to the agenda of this meeting, so basically first we will talk about what are the best practices for image loading web application in general for web applications. So what are responsive images? What is a CDN? Actually, how to use CDN and all. And also there are some LCP core web vitals. And then we'll come to our main topic called NG optimized directive, which will enforce those best practices in our Angular application. So let's get started with that. What exactly those image loading best practices? So okay, first we'll talk about lazy loading of images and prioritization of critical images and using images CDN and enforcing those rules in our web applications. Okay. So what exactly the lazy loading of images? So in general, images which are invisible to the user on page load are called page load should be ideally lazy loaded. For example, if you take in any website, if you open in any image website, it might contain multiple images, but on page load, we will see only 1 or 2 images at most based upon our screen size. So the remaining images are all not loaded on, not required on page load. So those kind of images should be lazy loaded. So whatever the images invisible to the page screen size, those images only should be loaded at the time of page load. So and the remaining images, like if you take an example of image carousel, like we can click on image carousel to go to the next slide, but the next image should not be loaded on page load because that is not visible on page load. Only 1 or 2 images should be loaded on page load. So why? Because this when you try to open any image websites, our browser will try to load all images at a time on page loads, because the browser might browser has to execute so many other functionalities like executing JavaScript and all, but loading images will take so much of time. So if you load the images as lazily, we can use those browser resources for some other important purpose. So let me go through some example actually. What are the example of lazy load images? Below the fold images or hidden carousel images. Those are the best example of uh, lazy loaded images. We should not load on page load. And most of images are non-critical, and those kind of images are called non-critical because those are not visible on page load, and those should be lazy loaded. But according to Google did a survey last year actually, I mean, but only 7.8% of pages should use lazy loading in 2021. I mean, according to 2021, only 7.8% of web pages are loading images lazily. So how to load images lazily actually? For example, if you take any normal image loading, this is the syntax. We have an image and source, we will pass image URL, right? This is the syntax. Now to load images lazily, we need to add an attribute called loading lazy, and that will load our images lazily. So is anyone added? Actually, I'm addable. Hello.
Yes, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Good.
you are.
So, yeah, yeah. Let's go through some example actually. What exactly I'm trying to speak actually. Okay, for this is the native image loading. So here I'm just loading some tons of images with the 4040401. Okay. Let's go through. Let's open it in another browser tab. So I'm just reloading the web page again. Sorry. See, this web page contain around 100 images actually, right? So 100 images are loaded on page load. But when you see the web page, we are hardly seeing 1 or 2 images actually, and remaining 98 images are not required on page load. But as we are using native image loading, just we are passing source as we are giving source of the image. It will try to load all images at a time, because you see here we have around 100 images. When I refresh the page, all 100 images are loading. But if you see the web page, we are seeing only 2 or 3 images hardly actually. But the browser is keep on trying to load all images. This is the native image loading. And this might lead to performance issues in bigger applications, because in bigger applications it has to execute JavaScript and other things, right? So the browser resources should be saved for those kind of critical tasks, and not for this non-critical image loading. Now we will see how to load remaining images lazily. Now we will go through lazy loading images example. So our browser has to support this loading attribute. I'm just checking whether it is existing in our HTML image element prototype. If it is existing, if the loading attribute is existing in our HTML image element, that means our browser will support this lazy loading of images. Older browsers like IE might not support these kind of stuff, but we are not using IE anymore, right? The latest browsers like Edge, Mozilla, Chrome, and Safari, and loading attribute will be supported all of the major browsers. So further, now we will see how to load images lazily. If you see here, I'm just adding loading lazy to this one, and also I'm adding width and height for the best practices purpose. Right, loading lazy. Now we will see actually how exactly it is running. So on page load, only 4 images are loaded because those are the critical images. If I scroll up, see again, the browser is calling. The remaining images are loading. See. So whenever the image will come as above fold the content, I mean whenever the image is visible in the browser, then only the browser will try to load the images. See, if you see here on only 416 images are loaded actually. See, while scrolling the images, you understand the difference, right? What I'm trying to say. So by default, if you add a loading lazy attribute to any images, only above the fold images will be loaded. I mean, whenever the image is visible on the browser, then only our browser try to load the images. So in this way, we are saving up some of the browser resources so that it can be used for other critical tasks like JavaScript execution or CSS execution. So many other tasks will be there, right, in a bigger applications. No. This is our this concept is not specific to Angular. This is specific to web applications. This loading lazy attribute. Okay. Now prioritization of critical images. I mean, not all images are lazy loaded. Right? Some of the images has to be loaded on page load. For example, if you take an example of logo kind of theme, and also if you take in a blog post, there is a featured image actually that has to be loaded on page. So how to tell the browser that it is a critical image? We should load this image eagerly. So for that purpose, we can use some hints like preload, pre-connect to prioritize the loading of critical images. So, and again, there is a review happened in Web Almanac. Only 12.7% of mobile pages are using this pre-connect hints, and only 22.1% of mobile pages are using preloaded hints actually. So featured images, as I said, featured images and also critical above the fold images and LCP content images. Those are the critical images. Those images should be loaded with the priority high. I mean, those images should be loaded on page load. We will take a simple demo again, how it will work. See, if you take an example here, I'm just adding image fetch priority high to first image and also the fifth image. Okay, you remember it, 405 and for 400. Now we will see the demo actually, how the browser will pick up those images. So as we mark this 400 and 405 image as fetch priority high, those images are loaded first and remaining images are lazy loaded, right? Because the fifth image is somewhere bottom, but as we marked it with fetch priority high, here the browser will load those images. The browser will consider those images as critical, and those images will be loaded first before the lazy loaded images. Again, the remaining images, the same functionality. So the remaining images will be lazy loaded, except for the first and fifth images. The images are critically loaded. I mean, eagerly loaded. Sorry. And again, one real world example again, the eBay, you know, right? There's an online shopping website. This eBay has been using this fetch priority high for loading main images of the, I mean, main image of the product page, and they have seen some improvement of LCP as 150 milliseconds in Chrome. Actually, this is one of their CTO tweeted actually. So while testing this fetch priority high, so we will see actually how they have been using actually with this fetch priority tag. So I will open any product image. So again, right, this is the critical image. This has to be loaded fast, right? The fetch priority high. So they are marking with this image as fetch priority high. That means this is and loading eager. This image has to be load eagerly and fetch priority is high. And they have seen some improvement of 150 milliseconds in LCP values while using this fetch priority tag. And this is a real world example. So LCP, right? Again, right? LCP is nothing but largest contentful paint metric, reports the render time of the largest image or text block visible within the viewport. I mean, the above fold content related to when the page first started loading. And according to some again some benchmarks, the LCP paint should be 2.5 seconds or less. You have tons of tutorial about what is LCP and all. I don't want to get into those details, but consider that the LCP value should be less than 2.5 second values. So again, one of the best practices we have to load responsive images according to the device bit. We have to load different kinds of images, right? And we in the HTML we have something called source set, where we can pass different width images so that based upon the devices, the corresponding image will be loaded. Here the example I'm passing 480 width images one and giving 480 width and also 800 width, only two width images. So based upon the width size, the corresponding image will be loaded. This is to load responsive images. This is again native to HTML, not specific to Angular application or this is common to any web application. So again, while loading responsive images, it is better to use a content delivery networks So why? Because using image CDN, we can optimize images, and also we can deliver images fastly. And most of the CDNs are now providing some kind of APIs where if you pass some width parameter to the image URL, and that width size images will be loaded accordingly. For example, we'll see an example. For example, if you see here the dog images, if you pass size equal to small, the small again this dog image is stored somewhere in image CDN, which supports these kind of parameters. I mean, if I pass that size parameter small, the small image will be loaded. For example, again, if I pass the crop as circle image will be loaded. If I want a WebP format of images, WebP format image will be loaded. So in this way, if an image CDN supports these kind of operations, it's not necessary for us to maintain these kind of images. For example, if you want to load different kinds of images from our server, we need to maintain all these kind of all different size of images, like 100 pixel width one image, 200 pixel one image, 400 pixel one image. It will be headache for us actually. Usually, if you want to maintain different sizes of images. But if you give that responsibility to image CDN and third-party image CDN, which will support these kind of parameters, there we can simply pass. We have to upload the images to our CDN server, and we have to pass the parameter. For example, if I pass width equal 100 pixel to the image URL, the corresponding width image will be loaded. Those kind of things will be taken care of by CDN actually, not us. So in that way, we are efficiency. Again, the content delivery network will be across the world. The images will be loaded fastly, and the different size kind of images also we can load based upon the given parameters. So again, it is advisable to use image CDN if your website contain more number of images, and also if you want to load responsive images. Now we have seen different kinds of best practices to load images in the normal web applications, right? So how to enforce those rules in our Angular applications actually? This is where the NgOptimizedImage directive will come into the picture. It is introduced in Angular 4.2 version, and also whatever the best practices we discussed earlier, right? We can enforce those rules using this NgOptimizedImage directive. Let's see an example actually how this NgOptimizedImage will work. So it is simple thing. Again, we have to load the NgOptimized directive from the Angular common. We have to import it on the import array of app module. If you load lazy modules, we can import that NgOptimized image in lazy modules actually. So this is the new syntax actually, how to load images and all. Now we have to give, instead of source, we have to give ng source, and we have to specify some width and height. Replace source with ng source. And configuring CDN. Again, right, I explained you, right, the uses of CDN. And Angular by default provides some built-in image CDN loaders like Cloudflare and Cloudinary, ImageKit, Image6. These are the third-party CDN networks. And to load those images from this CDN, there are some built-in functions are available, like provide Cloudflare. If you want to load image from Cloudflare, you have to use provide Cloudflare loader URL function. If you want to use Cloudinary, the corresponding loader. If you want to ImageKit, provide ImageKit loader. If you want to use IMJX, provide images. So these are by default NgOptimized image is providing. If you have any other CDN apart from this network, you can write your own custom loader also. So don't think much about these things actually. While giving demo, you will understand what exactly I'm trying to say. Now, we have to, as I said, right, we will take an example of ImageKit CDN loader and how to use it ImageKit CDN loader using NgOptimized image. So again, we need to import that provide image kit loader from the Angular common, add it in the provider's error and set the provided image kit loader. And there is again some best practice. We need to add pre-connect CDN URL, which will ensure to load LCP image fastly. So we need to add this pre-connect is called as resource hint. That means, for example, I'm loading some image from angular.com/logo.jpg. But if I have to add that angular.com URL, I mean domain URL in the head section of the web page using pre-connect resource. And the same thing actually. If you want to mark the images priority, we need to simply add priority tag. Right? That NgOptimized image convert those sets fetch priority tag and loading eager attribute. So in the native image loading, we need to add this attribute in each and every image element. But in using NgOptimized image, if you want to load an image as priority, that means eager loading, we need to add priority tag that will automatically add these two properties to the image element. We will see a demo actually what exactly we have done so far. So I have imported NgOptimized image and also CDN image kit loader. I have imported from angular.common. I have added an imports array, and also in the provider array, I am passing the image kit CDN URL path. This is my CDN URL actually. So that is the base path of my CDN URL. And I have some images stored in my CDN URL. And in the app.component, I'm passing ng source, ng class, ng source set. So this ng source set will be helpful to load different kinds of images, different width images. I've just see I have images stored in image URL. Just I'm just randomly added few images in my image kit URL with different names. Have created an image URLs array in our component file, component TS file, and loading those image URL. Again, if it is the first images, that means I am giving the class 1. I'm using ng for I'm loading image URLs. For the first images, I'm adding priority tag. For the remaining images, because those are all not critical images, I'm not adding priority tag. So we will see actually what exactly it looks like. I'm not sure it's taking time. Yeah. So only 2 images are loaded actually, because those are all. So if I'm scrolling, remaining images are loaded based upon. Right, I have added around 6 images, but initially only 2 images are loaded. So let's see actually what our NgImage optimized directive did to our image element, right? So what we have added for the first image, we have added ng source set. Sorry, we have added ng source set, ng source as image URL and priority tag for the first image. See, for the first image, the loading eager attribute has been added. Fetch priority high has been added automatically. The priority tag did those things using ng optimized image directive. And the best use of this CDN is all we need to do is we need to pass different kinds of width to ng source set like 200 width, 400 width, 600 width, 800 width, 1000 width. That's what we have added in the Angular component HTML file. So the ng optimized image, what it did, it is added those size width images in the source it automatically. Like if you see here, image kit. So these are the parameter this image kit CDN will accept TRQ auto W100 means it with this URL will load the width of 200 pixel images. Again, this 400 width means 400 width images. If you see here, if I try to load it here. So this is 400 width images. So I can control this width using these parameters. See 800 width image has been loaded. So this is the use of CDN actually. So all we need to do is we need to upload a high resolution image to our CDN URL. Using this parameter, we can load different width images based upon our requirement. So to load the responsive images, we need to add different size of images in our source set. For that purpose, I have passed the different width to our ng source set. And while what our ng optimized image directive did is, with the help of image CDN, as we are providing it in image in an app.module, it is automatically adding different width images to the source set, so that whenever the website is loaded in again, right, whenever the website is loaded in mobile, so the corresponding width image will be loaded automatically. So these different size of images maintained by CDN. It is not necessary for us to maintain different size of images in our own server. So we are giving that responsibility to image CDN, and using ng optimized images, we are loading it very simple actually. There is no complexities involved actually. So if you see the code is very straightforward. All we need to do is we need to import ng optimized image directive and also the corresponding image kit loader and what is the image kit loader URL. And then in the component HTML file, we need to load images using ng source and ng source set. And if you and one more thing, but if you use ng source, yeah, hello, and if you use ng source, yeah, no issues actually. If you use ng source, by default all images are loaded lazily. Let's see actually what I'm trying to say again. So see, by default the images are loaded using loading lazy and fetch priority auto. So, but those fields I have not added actually. For the only for the first image, I have added priority tag. That is first images. Our loading is eager. That means it has to load. It is a priority image. It has to load fast, and it has been fetch priority high. These two properties are added by priority tag. And for the remaining images, I'm just passing ng source, right? But our NgOptimized image directive will add loading lazy and fetch priority auto to the image element. That means if you use ng source, by default, all images will be lazy loaded. If you want to prioritize the images, you need to use priority tag. OK. And let's see actually whether it is really improved our web page performance or not. Just deployed the same version in the Vercel. And one is with the NgOptimized image. Just see the Lighthouse performance. So the performance is 71. The LCP values around 3.1 second, largest contentable point. And let's see with the native image loading, what is the performance and all. See, only for the LCP value is 8.4 seconds and also performance is 28 seconds. Whereas if you use NgOptimized image, the performance is 71 seconds and the largest contentable point is only 3.1 seconds. See, imagine for this simple application, we are able to see this much of improvement in the performance. In a big applications like e-commerce website and also with a website which contains so many images, there might be huge performance improvement actually by using this NgOptimized image. And also it is very simple to use actually. The code is pretty much straightforward. All you need to do is we need to import the directive, you need to import the image CDN, and we need to pass source set and ng source. That's it, not more than that actually. So in this way, we are using this directive. We are enforcing best practices in our Angular applications. So references, there is a very good blog in the developer club. I just added in the references, and also I wrote in a detailed article about this in the optimized image in my personal blog. You can go through that. Pretty much that's it actually. Thank you for giving this opportunity. If you have any questions, just let me know. We can discuss actually.
Thank you, Arun.
Yeah.
I think mine is just a question. Just back on the project.
Yeah.
The NGSRC set.
Yeah.
The 200W, 400W. What is that for? A bit
Actually,
confused on that.
okay. See. So to load responsive images, actually, we have a SRC set attribute actually. So we need to pass, for example, the mobile device will contain only 300 pixel images, right? So to load the responsive images, we need to pass different width size images to the SRC set attribute. This is specific to web development. This is HTML native element actually. Right, SRC set image, what is the image path and what is the width, what is the image path and what is the width. This is native to HTML elements. So in our Angular application, sorry here. So as we are already configured our image CDN URL, all we need to do is we need to pass different kinds of width images. For example, Here I am loading around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, around 10 images with the different sizes like 200, 400 with images. I'm just passing to ng source set, and our directive will generate. If you see the src set attribute, this is the image source src set. This is the native again. It has been converted to native src set. It is loaded those kind of with images. For example, this URL, right? Sorry. This width 200. That means this images will contain width size of 200. And another images, if I take it here, this is a 200 1200 width images. So right, this is a 12. You can see the difference, right? The source is same,
Yeah.
but the parameter is different. So depending upon this job is done by CDN. All we need to do is we need to configure our CDN in our Angular applications, and we need to pass the width to ng source set. I mean, for example, if I want only 2 width images, I will pass only 2 here like that. I mean, in the
Okay.
source set,
So
yeah, if you see it here, only 2 width will be loaded, 200 width images and 400 width images.
okay. So for example, see how we do it like natively, right? Is that for example, you can just assign like a class name to an image, and then in your CSS file is where now you um, define, for example, on breakpoint, for example, 768 pixels. This is what I want. This is the width that I want. On maybe 998 pixels. This is the width that I want. So do you do that all that configuration in the CDN?
So can you come again actually?
Sorry. So is it the way when if you want to make your images responsive,
Yeah,
um, natively is, for example, you can assign a class name to an image, and then
exactly right.
in the CS and then in the CSS file, you can now say that, for example, on mobile screen 78 pixel, I want it to have a width of 100 pixels, maybe another breakpoint of maybe 998 pixel. I want it to have a width of 300 pixels. So do you do that? Do you do all that configuration in the CDN itself, or where exactly do you do that?
Actually, that is taken care of image CDN. If you see here, we are not adding any classes, right? So all we are,
Yeah, yeah.
So right. So the SRC set attribute, that is the key thing actually. This is not specific to any image CDN. The SRC set is responsible for loading responsive images. As you said, always we can have a class name, and we can based upon that we can load different sites of images. But the beauty of SRC set is, so once again, I will load this once again. Yeah. So here, if you see, I'm not adding any classes, as you said, right? There is no CSS involved. All I have done is I'm just passing different width images to ng source set, right? Now we will
Yeah.
see how it will work. Yeah. See, this is the bigger screen actually. We will see the image, open image in new tab. See, it is loading the width as 2000 width. So by default, so based upon the browser size, as the browser size is big, the SRC set decide that okay, I need to load 200 width images, right? This is done. This is done by SRC set. Now
So
I just yeah,
so
one second. Let me complete actually. Yeah, after that, yeah, give me.
okay.
Now now I have Just I will select. So so in the iPad mini, the width is 1600 actually. So as I have reduced my screen and I have selected iPad mini, that means again obviously right iPad will be width will be less than the browser image. The SRC set decide that okay, this is the smaller screen images. I need to load the image with corresponding width. So that's why it is loaded image with width 1600. Yeah, you are saying something, right? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, is it clear or any confusion actually? So this is
Yeah,
actually,
it's
yeah, this is
clear.
a best practice for loading responsive images using SRC set. This is a native HTML element, so it's not required to use any CSS, fancy CSS kind of stuff. And that to load the different kind of width images, we can use this image kit CDN actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you have,
Anyone has a question?
yeah,
Anyone
tell
has
me.
a question? Please feel free to unmute and ask the question.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there isn't, maybe as we wait for maybe someone has a question, is why would you prefer CDN rather than having just images loaded from an API endpoint? For example, from your company's backend, why use CDN instead?
So you are saying why we have to use CDN, right? If I am correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Again, right. So for example, to load the response, the main use of CDN is maintaining different kinds of images. So consider an example of eBay or any shopping website, Amazon, right? So it has tons of images actually, right? So to load the different again, right? Based upon the device size, corresponding images has to be loaded. There is again in a older way we can reduce the image size using width and height attributes. We can always pass width and height attribute to images, right? If I am correct. So that will reduce image by width, for
yeah.
example. So, but that is not the best practice to load the responsive images actually. Why? Because if, for example, if I want to fit a 1200 pixel image width to a 200 pixel, it will try to compress and it will again, right? The CSS will do so much hard work in the behind and it will eat up some browser resources actually to reduce those to 12 and to fit the 1200 pixel image to 200 pixel. So why and again, right, as it is a best practice, the SRC set, we can pass different images with through SRC set, and that will take care of remaining thing. Ideally, if I have 200 pixel width in my browser, I have to load 200 pixel image only. I should not load a bigger images and compress it using CSS or any kind of other thing like passing height and width. That is not a best practice actually. That will eat up some browser resources. So the SRC set is responsible for loading images based upon the device width. We need to pass different kinds of width images to that, right? That is native to HTML. Now coming to the CDN, we can always maintain, for example, as I said, that is a best practice, right? Now I have to implement those best practices in my web application, right? For that purpose, if I take a single image and I have to maintain around 10 different size of images in my server. I have to reshape them. I have to change the quality end of them. Then if I want to load it from my server again, right?
Yeah.
1 second. Yeah. So here I need to have different size of images from my server. I need to crop that images. I need to load them accordingly. But the using image CDN, we should not do those kind of stuffs actually. We can always load one high resolution image like this. So this is the image I have loaded to my image CDN. And I'm passing width parameter to the URL. So the corresponding image will be loaded. If I want to do these things on my own, I have to maintain 10 different size of images in my application, and I have to pass URLs to SRC set, right? So again, right? That is not actually overhead for us. So again, if you use CDN, that is simpler actually. And also as content delivery networks are spread across the globe, the image will be loaded fastly because while loading images, there might be network delay right? So it is always advisable to use image CDN. So there are again, right? I mentioned few articles actually, differences. So this is a developer Chrome blog. Here they explain clearly actually why we need to use image CDN. What is I just gave a brief idea actually, but if you go through this article, you will come to know more details actually. What is the purpose of image CDN? So this is kind of again, right? These are best practices we need to follow in general to web application, not specific to Angular. Again, using NgOptimized images, we are enforcing that best practices in our Angular application in simpler manner actually. So what is our, we are lazily loading images, we are critically loading images, and also we are loading responsive images with a simple 2-3 lines code actually. So you can, I will share you the presentation link. You can go through the reference link and you will come to know what exactly we are trying to do. So, but you should get a brief idea, right? How to load images in the Angular application hereafter from Angular 4.2. Yeah. And you can see that you can clearly see that there is a huge performance improvement while using NgOptimized image, like 71% while loading this simple image website. If you think about a big website which contain hundreds of images, there will be sure shot there is huge performance improvement. For and LCP 3.1 second, and then now if you use native, the LCP is around 8.4 seconds actually, at 5 seconds more. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else has a question?
Yeah. No issues actually. If you have, yeah.
I think this is actually super helpful. If I'm speaking for myself, we've been working quite um, extensively with optimizing our app. And of course, we've
Okay.
been implementing some of the optimization techniques, making sure that the lazy load images and all. I
Yeah.
haven't just worked with NgOptimized image directive quite extensively. I've just worked with it in like side projects and all.
Okay.
But with things like SRC sets and with also the addition of having a CDN handling most of
Yeah.
the image rendering and all that, I think it's a pretty nifty tool. We just don't use the CDNs as much. We mostly have the images coming from our backend where they've been
Yes.
uploaded by the CMS, for instance. And it proves quite a hectic task trying to see how you can really optimize those images. Because we're
Yeah.
like right now, we usually talk to I usually talk to the people who are uploading the content to tell them like, hey, is it possible you could use this particular tool right now, first of all, to compress these images because they're quite huge, and maybe compress them and then format them to WebP format, because that is the next gen format that is kind of like
Yes.
recommended when it comes to like
Yeah.
Chrome, and then when we're doing those
Yeah.
analysis with Lighthouse. So that is it's pretty something that is, you know, always going back to quality, like, hey, we really need to use a CDN for this, because it's really going to help us optimize our images. So yeah, I think thank you for this.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I have in social networks, you can just search for Arunkumar everywhere. Actually, we can connect through social networks. And also, you can go through my blog, angularjsvk.com, where I will be writing about Angular articles regularly. So, yeah, if you have any questions or queries, just ping me on social media. I will respond back. And thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity. We will be in touch. Okay.
Thank you.